Your emotions are not the enemy. And I know it's odd to think about it in that particular way because sometimes people will say, oh, your emotional experience is a beautiful gift. And I'm not saying it's not a gift, but it's also not something that we long to experience. So much so, Gary Craig, who came up with one of the most popular versions of tapping, literally called his process emotional freedom technique because people so desperately want to escape their negative emotions. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can use the information of the emotions to create a deeper transformation. So we're not leaning in and longing for worse emotions, but when they show up, there's a really simple way we can use that feeling and that sensation to understand what's really going on so we can create long-term, lasting transformation. This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 563, originally aired June 14th, 2023. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to join me. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Today, we are actually starting a new series on healing and transformational fundamentals. These are ideas that underline every piece of work that I do for myself and I do with my clients. And so if you go through this entire series, what it's actually going to do is it's going to give you a master class in how we think about transformation. And when you understand these fundamentals, when you're in a circumstance where you're feeling distress for yourself, or you're in a circumstance where you're helping someone else, by understanding these ideas, it's going to make transformation and healing so much easier without getting stuck in some formula or some process, because you're going to understand where you're standing, where you want to go, and how to make all of that unfold. Now, as we navigate our way through this entire process, oftentimes I'm going to be talking about the tool called tapping. Tapping is the primary tool that I use to create transformation. I use it every single day for myself, and I use it regularly with my clients. If you are new to tapping or have no idea what I'm talking about, all you need to do is follow the little red arrow in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you to learntotap.com. It will give you all of the basics. So as you go through this series, not only are you going to be able to use these fundamentals, but you're also going to be in a circumstance where you're going to be able to use the tool that I use every single day to create transformation. So lesson number one of our healing and transformational fundamental series is the information of emotion. And there's a very specific reason why this is the first lesson in this entire process. Because for me, this is the thing that underpins every single piece of work that I do. Because the work that I do is I help people to change the way that they are feeling. The way I say that technically is we change our resource state, but change the way we are feeling in our body, in our mind, the energy level we have, our emotional state, which makes taking action so much easier. And oftentimes the things that get in the way of that are the things that we are feeling. Sometimes the feeling is resistance, but other times it's fear, overwhelm, disappointment, frustration, depression, whatever those emotions we are feeling. When we are in a negative emotional state, it makes it so much harder for us to be able to actually take action. But the object is not just to get the emotions out of the way. When we get the emotions out of the way, it makes taking action so much easier. But the thing that's really important to understand is that the emotions we feel is actually an information system. And what I mean by that is the emotions are conveying a very specific piece of information. And we have information systems that are energy all over our lives. Very simple example, a traffic light. A traffic light is conveying information through energy. If it is conveying the information of the red wavelength of light, we know to stop. If it's yellow or amber, for my friends in the UK, as you are approaching it, it's saying, ooh, a red is coming very quickly. And the information of green is saying you can now go. It is safe because the other traffic is stopped around you. And so that is an information system. And so the sensations that we feel in our body, the emotions that we feel are an information system. What they're doing is our subconscious mind and our internal guidance is giving us information about what it is interpreting and what is going on around us. And when we understand it as information, then we can start to decode that information so we know what the system is trying to convey. Now, obviously, when we feel a negative emotion, the first thing is something is off. But knowing something is off isn't actually enough for us to be able to understand what is going on. And so you can see why this is so important for me as a practitioner helping other people, because when we get a very specific piece of emotion, the system is giving us a very specific piece of information, which allows us to transform our understanding of the circumstance. So let's stop talking about that in a theoretical way, and let's kind of go through the emotions one at a time. And I'm not going to cover all of the emotions, but this is a good entry point for you to see what's going on. So each emotion is trying to convey a particular piece of information. So when I am feeling the emotion of frustration, what my internal guidance system is saying is a need or desire that I have is currently not being met. For example, when my internet goes out and the customer support person isn't being as helpful as I'd like, I can hear the frustration in my voice as I'm talking to them on customer support. Well, that information is the need that I want to have fulfilled is having useful internet, and my internet is not working, which makes it really hard for me to do my business because I'm working with clients all over the world in a digital way. So the frustration is saying a need or desire is not being met. When I experience fear or anxiety, fear is I perceive a danger right here in the moment. Anxiety is I'm worried there is something dangerous coming in the future. You know, when I am back home in Wyoming and I'm out hiking and I see a rattlesnake, I feel fear because there is danger immediately in what is going on. If I am giving a really important presentation tomorrow and I'm laying in bed and I'm tossing and turning and I'm anxious, it's because I'm fearing what could go wrong in the future. When I feel sadness or grief, that is the information of I am disconnected from something that is really important or really valuable to me. And so when a relationship ends, when we lose a job, when a loved one dies, it makes sense that we feel sadness and grief because we've lost this particular connection. But we can also feel sadness and grief about other things. So if I've squandered opportunity in the past, I can feel grief over the sense of the time and opportunity that was lost. When we feel anger, anger is the emotion of a perceived attack, because anger is the energy that gives me the opportunity to fight back. So when I see someone in my life being hurt, when I see injustice happening in the world, it makes sense that anger rises up inside of me because I'm being attacked, a loved one is being attacked, a vulnerable community is being attacked. So now, once we understand that the emotions are conveying information, you can see how all of a sudden this gives us an entryway into creating transformation in a different way. Because the transformation for me is I want to stop feeling frustrated and I want to feel in flow. I want to stop feeling afraid. I want to feel confident. But it's not just about turning the one emotion off and turning the other emotion on. Instead, I now have a tool as an opportunity to look inward and figure out what the system is afraid of, what goal is not being met, where am I perceiving the attack, what am I disconnected from that is important? Because all of a sudden, the emotion is giving us an opportunity to ask the question through the lens that the emotional guidance system is trying to speak to us, so we know exactly what is going on inside of us. And the really cool thing about this is sometimes when we start to ask those questions, we recognize the fact that the emotional response is an overreaction. You know, I'm feeling really frustrated because my coffee is showing up late. Well, when I start to go, why are you so frustrated? Well, because I want coffee and I don't have it right now. Okay, that's a little bit silly. And immediately, if I recognize it's a disproportionate emotional response, sometimes that emotion immediately recedes. And it also gives us, for those of us who are tappers, the opportunity to start to tune in to the information from that emotion and tap in that particular direction, so it creates change and transformation. So the emotions, when we look through this lens, are no longer this thing that I'm simply trying to escape. Instead, when I feel a negative emotion, I'm able to go, okay, my internal guidance system says something is off right now. And because it's providing me the information of a very specific emotion, I am now in a circumstance to go, okay, now I can figure out what's going on. I can assess what is in front of me, that it makes that healing and that transformation so much easier. So that is the reason why when I feel a negative emotion, I don't go, oh, I need to get out of this emotion. I feel that. But then my second thought is, oh, I want to get out of this emotion, and I now have a really specific piece of information as to why my circumstance is not the way that I want it to be, or my circumstance is not being perceived in the way I want it to be, because sometimes we have a misperception, which gives us the opportunity to go in and change. So the next time you are feeling a negative emotion, give yourself permission to feel that particular negative emotion, and then ask yourself the question, okay, I am feeling this particular emotion. What is the information that this emotion is trying to convey to me? Then I can start to go, is that true? And if we voice that out loud, it makes it so much easier to create transformation. So this is my favorite type of tapping to do right when I feel a negative emotion and I don't know what's going on. And you can tap along with me. And again, for those of you who are new to tapping, just go to learntotap.com so you can get a little more information about this. But it looks something like this. I recognize the fact. Right now, I am feeling very, very frustrated. And the reason that I'm feeling frustrated is because my system perceives one of my needs and one of my desires is not being met. And even though I don't like feeling frustrated, I appreciate the fact that my system wants me to feel better. I appreciate the fact my system is noticing a need or desire that's not being met. I hear that loud and clear. The emotion has done its job. Therefore, it can relax. If it needs to come back at some point in the future, it can certainly do that. But it's done its job for now, and therefore it can relax. Let me just take a nice big deep breath. And so what this then does is it is validating the information the system is bringing forward. And I have found fully articulated emotions are short-lived, and we're going to talk about that in a much deeper way further on in this particular series. But by recognizing that little fact, what it does is it puts us into a position where the emotions come down just a little bit. We see things more clearly. Because again, the goal is not to be free of our emotions, but it's to listen to that valuable information the system has. And when we listen to that valuable information, it makes it so much easier for us to create transformation and be happier and healthier. So I really hope you enjoyed that very, very, very first fundamental. If you look on your screen right now, you're going to see a link where you can click to the entire playlist where as these fundamentals unfold, you're going to be able to watch and learn from every single one. For Tapping Q&A, this is Monterastelli. I look forward to talking to you and tapping with you again real soon.